Ended up fighting for my life.
What advice do you have to someone who maybe is experiencing domestic violence?
Is if they don't get that restraining order right away, then the guy can go get it on them. And then
her and her mom's story was featured in the Netflix documentary Dirty John.
Getting the knife and being able to stab him back. And I got to a place where I felt healed to share my story.
She is Terra Newell.
But most of the time, it's the guy that can get away with it.
Welcome back to Blonde Highlights Podcast.
Today we are joined by, she's a survivor, advocate, and host of Terra's Baddies Club. Her and her mom's story was featured in the Netflix documentary Dirty John. She is Terra Newell.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
We are so excited that you are here today, and she actually brought us cookies.
I know, and they're gluten-free for you.
They're gluten-free, so like you get none. I'm taking all of them. They look delicious. I can just tell it's going to be a good time. So, how have you been? How's life?
Life has been crazy. There is a lot of movement right now with everything in life.
Okay, yep.
I'm started so many opportunities. I'm not really dating right now. So when I'm not dating, I feel like boys take up so much time that I have an abundance of free time now. So doing the baking, starting my nonprofits. I am working on a project that I can't name yet, but it's in the works. I'm helping other survivors tell their stories and produce their content and so much more.
Oh, wow. She's running businesses.
Yes.
She's busy. Wow. That is amazing. So for our listeners, just to get a little bit of a backstory, would you like to give us a little insight? We feel like it's not our story to tell. So whatever you want to say, you can just give us a little update.
Yeah, so my mom married a psychopath, not knowing that he was a psychopath, named Dirty John Meehan Wool. He didn't present himself as Dirty John.
Yeah.
He was John Meehan to her, and he presented himself as a anesthesiologist. And this doctor that was a war veteran, I don't think that was true at all. It was absolutely not true at all. And they met on this website called Our Time, which is for dating in their seniors.
Okay.
Yes. So, just a little bit classier, I guess, but not really because she met John.
Yeah.
Supposed to be classier.
Yeah.
Like the Golden Bachelor,
Yeah. Like that type of vibe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So she met him on this dating website called Our Time. And from there, it was a great first date until they came back to her place. And he sat on her bed and got all comfortable, and that made her uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And so she told him basically, like, get up and, I think this is over. He didn't respond well to that and threw a fit, actually. He left, and then the next day or the next 2 days, he called her, smooshed it over, and just made everything great again, and said he wanted to date her more, that he had a great time. And from there, my sister didn't have a great experience with him. She would butt heads with him. Like, my mom and my sister lived together at the time. So she saw John firsthand come in on the first date and just didn't present himself well.
Okay.
And he was looking around the room, kind of sizing up everything. And my sister could just tell that he was not a quality guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Little lurky.
Yes.
A little creepy. Yeah.
Yes. And so my mom... my mom had difficulties with men, with my sister and I, with just throughout life. My mom's been married 5 times, and so has my dad. So we've had opinions about every one of their relationships. And we grew up with movies like The Parent Trap with like how to get rid of that significant other.
Yeah.
So, you know, we grew up with being able to have an opinion about our parents' significant other, like most children do, because you're bringing someone into this world, and it's like you're world with your children, you're world with your family, you're world with everything, and you have to bring them into that dynamic. And that is a lot to disrupt the child's life in a sense. Mm-hmm. So, you know, when you're dating someone, you got to just make sure that they're going to stick around. So we were wary of this guy already. And then I went into it trying to meet him with open eyes because I was trying to work on my judgmental attachment with my mom.
Okay.
And so I went into it trying to be nice to him. Also, I wasn't so nice to the last guy. I remember meeting him for dinner and just like being grumpy and kind of bratty.
Yeah. She's brat.
And the only thing I liked talking to that guy about was Game of Thrones. So you know, like a X-rated like TV show is the only thing I could talk to my mom's significant other with. Was a little interesting, but that guy was gone, this guy was in, and so I had to get to know him and see who he was as a person. And I tried to get to know him. Unfortunately, he didn't want to really get to know me because a part of the narcissist, sociopath, psychopath, they want to isolate people around them. So from the beginning, I was going to be someone that could disrupt their relationship. And so I was someone that he needed to isolate. So I ended up getting into a fight with him the day before Thanksgiving. I ended up telling him to F off, but he kind of came at me first in a sense. And I was calling him out I was calling my mom out for him living there because it had only been a couple months.
Okay.
And she was claiming he wasn't. I'm still unsure if she thinks that he was or not, because he also, to her, had so little of stuff that she was like, okay, he could just be keeping some of his things here.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, as a girl, I feel like when you start to go over to like the guy's house, you start to like leave little things.
Let me just empty this drawer for me. That makes sense. I can see that.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, that could check out too, but I don't trust it. And there was red flags coming up kind of everywhere in a sense. And from there, I really got into it with my mom. I didn't spend Thanksgiving with my family. My sister Jacqueline, she didn't as well because she was fighting with my mom over this current situation too.
Okay.
And so we just kind of, Jacqueline and I spent Thanksgiving together, although my sister is a little bit more fiery than me. And so she went over like the day of and got into it with my mom, and I think she got into it with him. And there was a scene in the movie where she like knocked something over. I think she actually like threw something over. She like they made her calm in the series.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say, I was like, I don't remember something like that in this series. Yeah.
Well, I just remember Juno Temple with like the unicorn ears or whatever for Halloween. And she was funny. She's fiery, you know, too. So from there, I had a rocky relationship with my mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we ended up doing therapy to see how that I could spend Christmas with the family.
Okay.
And him as well, even though by that time he had only been with her for 2.5, like 3 months.
Okay.
So we did therapy, and I ended up coming to an agreement that I would be with the kids and the girls in the kitchen and playing with the kids, opening up the presents and stuff. And then he were to be with the guys.
Yeah.
So he comes in Christmas Day and with a bag full of presents like Santa Claus. And then he's giving them to all the kids. And I'm getting upset because that was not our agreement.
Yeah.
And then I'm the one causing a scene. So my family sees this, in a sense, that dynamic, but they're not seeing the overall full picture.
Yeah.
And they're seeing Tara's getting emotional, Tara's having a meltdown, Tara's the problem.
Okay. Yeah.
Like most women.
Yes.
Yeah.
Always the problem.
Yeah.
Super emotional. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're not seeing that, hey, we had a whole family plan and he stepped in and crossed every single boundary instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not his fault.
But they're a little bit more collective about having their, their ego in order, where they're not going to get reactive because they're getting kind of off on my reaction.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Which is a huge part of narcissism and wanting to get a reaction out of someone. Yes.
Yeah. Like that dark triad,
Yeah.
And so it took my family a little bit after that, actually. They ended up eventually seeing light to who he was, because with the kids, he was not being super appropriate, kid-friendly wise. My niece learned about twerking from him.
Oh.
Yes.
That's awkward. Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure she knew what twerking was, but he showed her videos, and then he taught her about, like, what the birds and the bees were.
Oh, that is so inappropriate. That is like, I have 2 boys. So, like, schools sent home a letter to make sure that it's okay to talk about that. Like, that is a major boundary cross. Absolutely not. Yeah.
Yeah, so my brothers and sisters were getting kind of, I don't want my kids with her unsupervised. I don't want them around him. They started to voice their opinion about that. And then from there, my mom kind of just kept trying to show us, like, when you're in this type of relationship, it's so common for you to be defensive about everything, oh, well, like, he's not that bad. Oh, well, that wasn't that bad. He did that, but, like, he has reasons why he did that. And, that's why I never give anyone fault for not leaving, because it's a brainwash.
Yeah.
It's a mind. Can I cuss?
Yeah.
It's a mind fuckery.
Yeah.
And you are so, like, even just a normal narcissistic relationship, you lose your mind in.
Yeah.
And he was a psychopath.
Yeah. And the manipulation was just...
I know. That's what I would say is certain family things, or just in general, like when it's little teeny steps every day. And so you can't see the big picture. It takes somebody like a daughter or somebody else seeing everything to be like, this doesn't make sense.
Yes. And even I have a friend right now. I don't really like her guy. And he's not a dirty John per se, but he's a moocher and he latches on. And it's just... even that type of guy, you're like, why are you with him? But then me, I'd be like, hey, so you don't have a job and you're able to spend all this time on me? Oh my God. I feel so loved.
We can be inspired together.
Yes. My anxious attachment feels so secure right now. In the beginning.
Yeah.
For like a week. Yeah. So then after Christmas, did the family dynamic change or anything, or...
Definitely in a sense where my family, they were a little bit more cautious, My niece, she even came to comfort me during that time. And so she was, I want to say 10. She's actually, no, she was like 7 or 8, because happened like 9 years. No, she was like 10. So it happened like 9.5 years ago. She was like 7 because like that would have been 2014. So she was even catching light that this guy isn't, you know, quite normal.
It's not a regular.
Yeah. And then my mom ended up leaving him around March.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then she got back together with him, but because he was able to take her to a lawyer, and the lawyer told her that all these John Meehans, that, okay, so my family hired a private investigator first without my mom's consent. And then we brought all the information to my mom. My mom left John. Okay. And then John was able to get her to come back, take her to the lawyer, and convince her that all these things that we found were different John Meehan.
Okay.
And I will tell you something funny. There is a John Meehan in Orange County that's a doctor.
Oh, poor guy. You're going to need to change your name. Seriously.
So I don't know if it was calculated in him choosing even the area. Okay. But it just raises even concerns for me with that. And so he was able to convince her to come back, and they had to start to grow the relationship. So that means putting boundaries around family members with us. Yeah. And then she was trying to just convince my family that he's good. And she was trying to convince me, like, oh, he's such a dog lover, this and that. And she went and she got a dog with him. And it was a dog that they like picked out together, but it wasn't a dog that my mom would just go get. Okay. My mom would get a Shih Tzu, maybe even a Pomeranian, Chihuahua, something small. Spaniel. She loves Spaniels. My mom has a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel now.
So cute.
Not a big golden retriever. That's like a guy. I mean, I love golden retrievers, but like most guys would be like, let's get the golden.
Yeah. The bigger dog. Yeah.
Posted like, let's get a Shih Tzu, you know? Yeah. So she went out, got a dog, and she was trying to convince me like, oh, isn't this great? And I told her, no, this isn't great. I wish you weren't getting such a big dog, because I'm going to have to end up with a dog, and that dog's going to take a lot of space, and I'm going to be the same size as the dog, and the dog's going to be pulling me. Well, and then I worked with dogs, so I was like, if it doesn't work out, the dog is just going to end up with me.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
It did. It did end up with me. It's now settled at my brother's house.
Okay.
And she's about like 10, 11 now. So
yeah.
And she's 90 pounds. You know, just she's love. I love her so much, but I can't have a dog that's just bigger, because I just can't handle it. My dog's 30 pounds, and that's the perfect size to like pick him up, maneuver him. If he gets angry, I could just be like, we're fine.
Yeah. That's what I do I have French bulldogs, and I just pick them up.
Yeah. Yes. So, I expressed to her that the dog situation was not ideal, that was really not going to win me over. And then she just kept trying to do more things with him. She wasn't really allowed to see my sister. Okay. Because he put threats against my sister. He told my mom, like, he would do, like, kill her and stuff like that. And so she had to kind of sneak around to see my sister. And then I would meet up with my mom, and then I would tell my sister where we were going, and then my sister would come and put the trackers under the car. Smart. So that we could see like where he was using her car, because that was one of our complaints about before, is that he was using her cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we found out, well, my sister found out that he was going around to different doctor offices. And so later we speculated that he was doctor shopping.
What does that mean?
For like prescriptions.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, Oh, okay.
So, now it's a little bit more regulated where not everything, you just write it down on a prescription pad, go and get it,
Yeah.
But around that time you could do that, where now they just send it in, and I'm fine with that because I'm not trying to abuse drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he would go and do that, and I haven't had any proven sources that he was dating anyone at the same time as my mom.
Okay.
But if there is any women out there, please come forward. Love to meet you, say hi, make friends with you. We're all a part of a club that we never wanted to be a part of.
Yeah.
So, I don't have it confirmed, but I know, like, before my mom, he was dating people, like, after, when he would, like, not be together or whatever, he was seeing them. And there may be more proof on, like, one of the phones and stuff, but I need to get deeper into that, and that may come out later.
Okay. Yeah.
But so he would do all this crazy stuff, and then he started to pick more fights with, like, other family members. And then my mom ended up hiring her own private investigator, and then looked into him, and then she brought all this paperwork one day to, I believe we were at Brio or somewhere at the Irvine Spectrum having lunch. And I remember seeing this paperwork, and inside the paperwork was all his, like, restraining orders that women had on him.
Yeah.
There was, like, rap sheets of his. Yeah. In jail, cut his stomach open and stuffed feces in it so that he could go get a drug fix.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God.
Wow, that is intense. That must have been a lot to take in for all of you. Yes.
Oh, yeah. So, seeing that, I knew that if he could do that to himself, that he could do something to someone no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to be in a certain type of mindset to even have the thought process to think of coming up with that.
Yeah.
That's a certain mind.
Yeah. So she eventually left him one day, but she was trying to plan her leave with lawyers, and she was trying to see how she could even get an annulment where she wasn't married to him, because she did get married to him in Vegas shortly after my fight with him on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like a slap in the face because I lived in Vegas too. So I was like, you had to come out here where I and get married. Like, you could have just went to
City Hall.
Yeah.
You didn't know where I am.
I don't know where else to get married. Like, Vegas is like a known place to get married, but why there?
Yeah.
And so she hired her private investigator, and then one day she ended up leaving him, and he found something that was like her leaving or money hidden or something like that. I want to say, like, she was hiding money for, like, and giving it to my sister, something like that. I don't know. But he found something that didn't sit right with him.
Okay.
And then he confronted her about it, and then he told her, like, hit me, and you'll never get up again. And she took a bag of stuff, like one shoe out of two. And then she left, and then so she went to my sister's. And then she packed up some stuff, went straight to Vegas. Then my mom's movers went out there too.
Okay.
And then they packed up the Vegas house that she had with John. And then during that time, he called the police in Orange County and I believe Irvine, and he said that she hit me, that she abused me, and this and that. And they dismissed it because she was not there.
Okay. Yeah.
And then from there, he kind of did a few more things. He ended up driving his car into a gate, like into a private community.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. And then like just left the car there.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
Yes.
Can't even drive. Like this guy. Yeah.
He was on drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was on drugs. And then there was wrappers and stuff in the car. And then we got the car because it was in my mom's name.
Yeah.
And then later on, he came to California, stole my mom's car, lit it on fire, and then the police had that case. And then what else did he do? Oh, he kept coming to California to stalk my family and I. So the dog kept getting out into the yard. He would leave the door open for the dog, and it would be 110, 15. It was Vegas, so it was crazy hot.
Yeah.
And then the dog would get out, and then animal control would get the dog, or the neighbors would find the dog and keep putting the dog back.
So he was letting the dog out.
Not necessarily the dog was getting loose to try to find him because he wasn't home all the time
Okay.
because he was out stalking us.
Okay.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes.
Okay.
Like he would drive to California, probably stalk us for a few days, fill up on Del Taco and the pop his or not pop, but shoot up his steroids,
Okay.
his testosterone, you know, stalk us a little bit, and then, you know.
Go to the
Yeah.
dog.
Yeah.
As you do, right?
Just a normal day,
Yeah.
a casual stalk.
Yeah. Average Wednesday, you know?
Yeah. Unless you're a PI.
Yeah.
That's a little different. Yes. And so he just kept spiraling. And then eventually one day he called my work, but I didn't know it was him.
Mm-hmm.
I just had this confirmation after everything because he was trying to get my schedule.
Okay.
But he called at a time where I was feeding the dogs, and so the dogs were all barking at me. And I didn't really want anyone on the phone for that long because I couldn't multitask with the dogs barking at me and then trying to get someone's information.
Yeah.
So I didn't get all the information that I normally would have got for someone. And this person booked a dog grooming appointment for 2 Rhodesian Ridgebacks, which the day prior I had gone hiking on this one trail and met 2 Rhodesian Ridgebacks. So I know that he was watching me in a sense.
Okay.
Mm.
That is so creepy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Even though I'm like, why didn't you kill me there? That would have been the better spot.
Yeah.
You would have probably got away with it. But
Yeah.
he didn't.
He's too dumb to think like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He took too much testosterone.
Yeah.
He's not thinking with the right head.
No.
So he ended up coming after me, but because he did a no-show, I came home from work early. So that affected things, and I don't think he was prepared for me as much.
Okay.
And so I pulled into the gate, my dog's barking, and then I see him fiddling with a tire iron, but I'm not putting together that it's him.
Okay.
My mind just thinks that it's someone that's unhoused.
Yeah.
And so I am like, okay, knock it off. My dog knocks it off. And then I get out of my car, get out of my trunk. And then that's when he grabs me. And then I ended up fighting for my life. He stabbed me a couple times, once in the forearm, once in like underneath my left chest, my boob. And then like a paper cut kind of one to the face. So he barely graced my face. And my dog ended up also being in my attack with me. He fought and he tore up his ankles. And then I ended up stabbing him, getting the knife and being able to stab him back. And then from there, I did like my, what is known as like the zombie kill.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
because I watched The Walking
And
Yeah.
then, yeah.
And then I scooted away from his body, and then the ambulance came, and that was kind of the attack.
For sharing that. That is a lot to go through. So we appreciate you being comfortable to share that, and we know that it takes a lot to speak on such traumatic events. So you're very brave for being able to even have that conversation, whether it's in this type of environment or just in general. So that must have taken a lot. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And it's just even having like the strength to fight back. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people would be like, no, you know what I mean? Like, I think that your instincts took over and like you were able to save yourself.
Thank you. Well, I hated him.
Yeah.
And I think that when you have that hate for someone, your body automatically goes to that different response where you go to that fight react. Well, most people will go to that fight reaction if they're literally have that anger in them for that person.
Yeah.
So my body was already predispositioned to go into that fight knowing that I hated him. Whereas if it was a significant other, where in many of these DV cases where the women will defend themselves, they'll have more serious wounds and not have the likelihood to survive as much because they do have many different kind of responses that they could go into. They could go into their fawn, appease, and you kind of can't sometimes escape certain situations.
Yeah. So when Netflix did this project, were you aware that they were like making this documentary at all? Or show?
The LA Times, who did the podcast with Wondery, they ended up selling the podcast for probably around $3 million. I don't know the exact number, but that's just a kind of guess.
Okay.
Just because I do have a friend that I made this year, Jane Marie. She would have produced the Dirty John podcast, but she actually turned it down because she wanted to make it more women-centric, more ethically inclined, and more so about the women opposed to the perpetrator.
Yeah.
And she would have gotten paid, she told me, around like $500K to produce that project.
Okay.
I wasn't aware of them selling it during that time. I never signed anything with the LA Times when we were doing the podcast.
Okay.
However, the LA Times sold the podcast series into a scripted series to Bravo for 2 seasons. The first season was Dirty John, My Story, and then the second season was going to be a Dirty John-esque story, which ended up being the Betty Broderick story, which that story is highly, highly confusing.
Okay.
Yeah, well, because, it's hard because Dan was a lawyer, he was a doctor, he was a position of power, and there is a lot of reactive abuse in it. However, driving your car into the house where your kids are and also stalking people and showing up and killing 2 people, especially with the woman, she's essentially innocent. I don't know how innocent Dan was, but lives should never be taken that way.
Yeah. And given everything that, you've gone through, how did your healing journey begin? What were the first kind of steps you had to take to even begin that journey?
I am an appeaser.
Okay.
So I had to make sure everyone was okay at first, and I think that was part of the shock. And I just kind of went into the state like I'm fine. Like I just have to make sure everybody else is okay because they think I'm kind of crazy right now. And they're looking at me like something's wrong with me. So I kind of just was like, I'm fine. Everybody else, like I'm fine. And then I ended up going into this phase of wanting to not be alone. So I ended up partying a lot and not necessarily going out and drinking all the time, but just like going out just so I could be around people.
Yeah.
Even though I was down to drink and kind of like once I drank down to just say yes to anything, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I would also go out and not drink sometimes.
Yeah.
But I still do think that that was a problem in a sense
Okay.
because I was overusing it sometimes,
Yeah.
even though I did have control other times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I ended up getting into an altercation with my sister one day, and the cops were called. And then I had to skedaddle out of there because I was not healing and things were getting worse, and my family dynamic was getting worse in a sense, and we were not okay during that time. So I ended up going to Austin, Texas. I did a lot of EMDR therapy there. I got one with nature, one with healing, did a lot of like physical movement, physical activity, like rock climbing.
Okay.
And thanks. And I'm scared to death of heights. So I would literally like climb up the wall and then jump. I'm even getting sweaty now, like thinking about it. But like jump off so that I could practice getting in touch with that fear sensation.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Almost like an exposure.
Yes, exposure therapy.
Yeah.
Okay. And then how were you able to like process like all the trauma into getting to the point of helping others and becoming an advocate?
So I went through all the EMDR, went through all of the therapy in Austin, and I felt like I was healed to a place. Like healing is a forever journey. So don't ever think like you're good.
Yeah. I love that. That should be a t-shirt. Don't ever think you're good.
I like that. I kind of want to make one now. So I thought I was good, and then my mom gets a call from the LA Times, and then that's when they started contacting us about our story, and then we thought we were doing a series of articles with them. And then later, Christopher Goffard told us that it was podcast, and we didn't have an understanding about what a podcast was.
Mm-hmm.
We were like, a church sermon? Okay, that's great. It goes out every Sunday.
Yeah.
And then I was very, very religious during that time. I'm more spiritual now, but I prayed. I went to church 3 times a week, and I just asked for God for the answer, and like kind of got the answer, like if I share my story, it will help other women.
Aww.
And so I did that. And then Christopher Goffard was also like, you'll meet the Walking Dead people.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm in. Read us, where you at?
Yeah. I love how it's like, maybe you're gonna meet that in. Yeah.
Well, he told me like that, like when we were working.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, okay, that's a selling point. I'm so down for this now. If I wasn't before, I'm 100%.
Yeah.
Just to meet Norman Reedus.
Yeah.
I've never met Norman Reedus though. I was just on Lindsay Abernathy's podcast. She was in a couple episodes of The Walking Dead.
Okay.
So that was kind of fun.
That's fun.
Yeah.
And then I've met like a few daytime players here and there, but no one like major.
Okay.
Yeah. So
we're still building up to that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been like 7 years since the podcast came out.
Okay.
So
yeah,
it's a really slow build.
Yeah.
Well, then COVID kind of messed that up a little bit because I did have a friend that was friends with his PR person, and then all that stuff. But anyways, healing. So I got to a place where I felt healed to share my story, and then you share your story, and then you're like, oh, what? All this is re-traumatization, and I actually am not healed. It's interesting how, like, when I first started that healing journey, certain men did scare me,
Okay.
but not all men.
Okay.
And then now it's like all men, except for like a few hot guys here and there.
Yeah.
But even those guys, I'm like, still make me nervous.
Yeah.
So it's an ongoing journey, and I think that like I work on things here, and then I have to rework on it. It's like a dog with training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like sometimes the dog is great at heel, and then other times you just need to re-up,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Except for my French bulldog, who's just like, no, I'm not doing anything, bitch. No.
Were you always into like true crime, or was this like after everything happened?
So I was into scripted series about like true crime.
Mm-hmm.
I was never into docuseries or documentaries, anything of that nature. And it was funny because would go back and forth with that. I would be like, I'm into true crime. No, I'm not. Like, it was just more so the scripted series, the production value of it. And then at one point, I wanted to be a CSI person.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but I couldn't deal with blood, even though I love the show Dexter. So,
Yeah.
but that's corn syrup, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not real blood.
Yeah, I worked through that in therapy when the show came out. But and then I like horror movies and stuff like that. So, you know, but my mom would be watching Dateline,
Okay.
and my sister and I would come in the room and we're like, turn that off.
Yeah.
Like, turn that shit off.
Yeah.
And God, I love them now. I love the show now.
Yeah.
But then I couldn't understand why people found enjoyment watching other people's traumas.
Yeah.
Now I do understand, you know, because I have had a lot of friends in the true crime industry that are creators, that are listeners, that are watchers. And I think that it's important to support the ethical nature in watching.
Yeah. You teach a course about that, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Like,
Yes.
yeah.
So I have an 8-week podcasting course where it takes you through how to build a podcast, how to even work with the equipment and everything, how to record and do it yourself, talking about different networks opposing to, you know, owning your own RSS feed, talking about like everything, conferences, festivals, talking how to work with survivors. I interview so many different survivors, different true crime podcasters. I love her so much. So I'm like, she's the first one that pops up is my friend Mackenzie and Hannah with Dating Detectives.
Okay.
They're great, and their podcast is pretty big now. Yes. And then I had a podcast called Survivor Squad that we kind of started along the same time, but that was with my ex, so that's no longer. But I just love that they started around the same time as that, and they have grown, and they call these guys dogfish.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Nice.
Like that are like the Dirty John-esque
Oh,
type.
dogfish.
Dogfish.
Yes.
And then Generation Y podcast. I have my friend Jennifer Faison from the Betrayal podcast. I have Denise Huskin. She contributed. She has American Nightmare with Netflix, and then she. So many people have contributed. I'm so lucky. Like, the list is on and on and on of everyone who's contributed, because for me, ethical true crime is different to each person who has experienced it.
Okay.
And my answer may be different from another survivor's answer.
Yeah.
Like, some survivors are okay with hearing sorry. Like, I'm okay with hearing sorry, like, sorry that happened to you. Like, it's validating to me. Where other survivors, they don't want to hear sorry because they feel like it's re-victimizing themselves.
Okay. I guess I've never really thought of that before, but I guess it could see, like, I'm losing my train of thought, but I hope we didn't like put anything Okay.
No,
No, I was just thinking that. I was like, oh my gosh, should we say anything that like we should? We'll edit this part out. But I was like, oh no. Okay, cool. I'm like, oh no.
There's podcasters out there that use stories to monetize, and they just see it as like that these people aren't real victims in the story, and that it's kind of like free game in a sense.
Yeah.
And I do think that some stories are free game to a certain extent, like how the news, current stories, and like you need to have that current news kind of out there.
Yeah.
But not speculating on things, not speculating on, oh, this guy did it, when you don't have evidence that that person did it at all.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And with your like advocacy and domestic violence, is there any like misconceptions that you're like constantly correcting or anything?
I feel like I feel like there's a lot of misconceptions, but I can't think of, well, if the cops are called and there's a domestic violence situation, there can be a few things that can happen, like, ooh, Taylor Frankie Paul, that situation.
Okay. Yes.
The cops did not handle that well. I believe she peed her pants as well.
During her arrest?
Yes.
I can't remember.
I remember, but I remember doing an episode, and I remember just like she did something that should have been handled so differently. I get that there was kids involved in everything, but who were they listening to and watching? They were watching the guy that doesn't live there, that didn't have his kids there. They were her kids. And then she was the one that got arrested when she was actually having reactive abuse.
Which is terrible. But when the police come, they just assume that, they assume the worst.
Especially in Utah. I mean, I've called the cops on a friend before for slamming my friend's head into like the car windshield or into the car window.
Yeah.
And it was hard because they couldn't do anything unless the girl was like, arrest him. But also, how are you going to have him arrested when you guys live together, have a place together, you're bonded, and the victim, the survivor, is always going to defend her abuser until she starts to break that cycle.
Yeah. So it kind of puts that pressure that's not needed, and she's obviously just not going to. That's really sad. I feel like the story of Gabby Petito, I feel like that is so heartbreaking, because I feel like they did that to her, as well as not asking if he should be arrested, but sort of downplaying everything when you could visibly see that she's distraught. She's not okay, but they kind of put things on her and then didn't give her the space to freely say, like, I'm not okay. So
yeah, no, Gabby definitely has a special place in my heart, and those situations could have been handled better with even, her story and how Lifetime went and brought it out there without the family's consent, like Nicole and like Jim, and why am I drawing blanks on everyone's name in the family?
Okay,
but
yeah.
they, like, that's not fair to them. Like, they're so pissed about it, and I understand, and I'm pissed for them. And when I got to meet them, I just really got to bond with them, because I was like, we've been through some fucked up shit, and we shouldn't have to, but they're doing such amazing things with their foundation and with Gabby's memory now.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I've checked out her foundation, and we've actually posted it a few times just in support of domestic violence. If one thing that we want to know is, how would you handle what advice do you have to someone who maybe is experiencing domestic violence or abuse, and are in that situation? Like, what advice do you have for them if they're scared to come forward, or if you have a friend and you're suspecting that they're going through it? What advice would you give to approach a situation?
So if you're going through it right now, start to recognize the signs, start to kind of document everything, but you kind of have to find a safe friend that you can confide in, who's going to be your kind of safe harbor, safe, like you need to send them pictures, photos. You cannot have them on your phone or saved on your phone. Like you have to have someone that's kind of in cahoots with you.
Okay.
If you don't have that person, you can call the domestic violence hotline.
Okay.
Say, I need help. I need to start to plan my leave. What can I do? But if anything's like immediate danger, like always call the cops. Always try to get out. But like with this kind of nature, the leave is the most dangerous part.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's why it's so important to leave and have your kind of ducks in a row, like with the documentation. Then, you know, so many times I've had to fight with women and tell them, you need to get your restraining order or it's you dead on the floor and your kid's walking into that.
Yeah.
And that's like my voice that I have to get with them, because I have to be blunt and I have to be serious, because also so many things that I have seen too is if they don't get that restraining order right away, then the guy can go get it on them and then turn it around onto them. And I see this so many times because like a lot of times they're with a narcissist. They're with someone who's plotting and planning, and they're having that empathy and they're like, I would never do that. I would never do that. Well, guess what? He's going to do it. So you got to protect yourself first.
Yes. And if you think that like suspect a friend or know a friend is going through domestic violence, like, do you have any advice on what to do as a friend?
It's so hard with that scenario because you could put boundaries up. You could, you know, I say everybody figure out the boundaries that are best for you. You need to put your own oxygen mask before you put it on anyone else. So make sure you're taking care of yourself before anything. But if you can, be there for that friend. Don't judge them. Don't tell them to leave.
Okay.
They need to figure it out themselves. And if you tell them to leave, then that is going to put a blockage up on them sharing information with you later.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know. I've always, in situations like that, been afraid of isolating them with the person if, you know, you judge them or anything about the situation.
Right? Like, think of it as in like a healthy relationship. We all complain about our significant other.
Yeah.
We do. We need to call our friends and we need to do that. And we may think that that guy is the worst person.
Yes.
And we may say stuff here and there. But if you tell that friend, like, that guy's a narcissist, that guy's this, that guy's that, that friend's not going to call you anymore and you're not going to get those details.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Exactly.
We've both been through that in situations, not with having to support a friend in abuse, but just like that whole thing where it's like, we don't like him, he's not good for you, but then you have to just kind of wait it through and not say it. And it's hard sometimes because you kind of want to scream and shake and like give them all the receipts and show them all the things that you're saying, but then it's also to that fine line of I don't want to push you away either. So I imagine in a position when it's domestic abuse and violence, it would be really hard to just, so I like the point that you brought up, like taking care of yourself first, because that would stress you out.
Yeah, like even with my past relationship, so many of my friends like had to put boundaries around me, calling and being like complaining and being like, I'm so depressed, I miss him, this and that. That's totally fine. I understand that. That's what you should do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I learned later, okay, like, you know?
Yeah.
But keywords is always good too. Like, hey, I don't have space for this right now, but I may have space in a few days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What signs do you think are often most overlooked when it comes to domestic abuse?
The charming, the football player, the guy that's like the frat boy that's just you know, like so many stories now, it's always that guy that's like that popular guy. I mean, it's like there are different cases where it's like the guy that's shy, doesn't have any friends and stuff, but most of the time it's the guy that can get away with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The hiding in plain sight guy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. Like my career as like my daytime job is I'm a hairstylist. And so I've heard so many stories of things over the years. And I have found that like a lot of times it is like the least person you expect, you know?
Yeah.
The person that everyone comes to be like, oh, they're the nicest person ever. They, you know, that those sometimes are the people.
Those are the ones.
Yeah.
So it's hard to, what advice do you have for people dating then? Like, because it's hard because, you know, sometimes it's those charming ones that come in and you can't tell if it's like, are they sincere and just so intensely in love or they love bombing me? Like, do you have any advice for that?
Have a group of girlfriends, have like conversations with your girlfriends to vet out the guys, and try not to have your girlfriends that are overly cautious or like overly fall in love. Like have a girlfriend that's like a good balance. Because you know there's the friends that are like, oh my gosh, I'm dating someone new, and you're like, wait, I thought you were dating someone last week that was like the one, and you're like, no.
Keep up. What do you wish more people understood about survivors of domestic abuse?
I wish that people understood that healing is not linear. Do not put a time frame on your healing journey, and that if your friend is not healing from their abuse or something within like 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, don't get mad at them for it or don't blame them for it. You know, it's like sickness comes in all different forms. And sometimes, well, a lot of the sickness of the brain, like the disorders, like PTSD turns into, in the States, like in other countries, it's an illness or injury of the brain. Where here in the United States, it's still considered a disorder because the chemistry of the brain completely changes and you're not the same person you were before. So I wish people knew that it's not so easy just to rewire that brain back together and just to have empathy for people going through it.
Yeah. And it'll always look different in hindsight. I know I like went through something kind of traumatic in my early 20s and nothing like that. But I, in the moment, thought I'm handling this so well. Like everything's great. Like I'm doing well. And I look back and I was like, oh, you turned to crazy partying. You turned to substances. You turned to like it really took almost a decade of healing to get to the point where I can look back and be like, no, that was not, you know?
Yeah. So as we close out, do you have any final words or pieces of advice or wisdom that you would like to give to anyone in a dangerous relationship or like domestic violent relationship?
I feel like we pretty much have touched on everything. I can't think of anything, but you know, if you're always struggling, domestic violence hotline number is super important. I do offer free 15-minute calls for anyone that wants to share their story, needs resources, or like, thank you, needs advice, you know, and I do one-on-one coaching, but I kind of do it more so for helping survivors share their story. I used to do it for trauma more so, but I do have workshops, a 5-week workshop if anyone is struggling with trauma, because it's kind of funny. Well, it's not funny, but I did the podcasting course, and I do have a lot of survivors that do the podcasting course, and it re-traumatized them. So I'll send them a week free of my Moving Past Trauma workshop. And then they'll usually like buy that workshop from me, and I'm like, oh, that's, you know, thank you, but at least you have a week of tools. To like help you.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on. It was so great chatting with you. And thank you again for sharing your story. You're so inspirational. We love the work that you're doing, and your voice of spreading all the awareness and advocacy is so important. So thank you for all that you're doing. And yeah, we'll be sure to link anything. Do you have any closing out thoughts?
No, I mean, along the same lines. I think it's great that you're able to turn that traumatic event into something that you can help other people, get through and come out better on the other side.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, and one last thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to start my nonprofit. I'm trying to file for the 501c3. I'm gathering money for the lawyer, for the filing of the paperwork, and for my tax person currently, so that I can make it all legit. So if anybody wants to help in that, I would appreciate any help I could get.
Is there a link that we can attach to the episode?
Yes, I have a GoFundMe, and then I also have my Venmo if anyone, because I know they take certain percentage from GoFundMe.
Yeah.
So some people like their money, and then I will post once I pay for the lawyer, I will post the payments and everything so I can show people's money is going to the right place. Although I have been doing survivor bags for domestic violence survivors for a while. And so it's now time to make that legit. Yes. And have a safe haven for people.
Yes. Well, we will be sure to add all the links, and as well for your podcast and your baking page, which I am so excited to try. So thank you so much. And everyone, be sure to check her out. We, again, like I just said, we'll link all her pages, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.